And Josh, I'm going to have you now speak to another sort of direction in the community, which is thinking about elevating well-being into more senior leadership and conversations. So not every institution has an AVP of wellness or well-being or whatever the sort of variations on title are. So I'm curious how you are elevating the importance of student well-being as a top priority, right? Like top of the agenda for that top administrative team at the university.
Can I say, does anybody have any answers to that?
Yeah, we will be crowdsourcing the response to this.
I mean, I think I appreciate that question. And I'm going to first acknowledge Terry Ann. So far, I've walked away with, all right, so we've got a civic engagement day and we've got faculty introduce themselves in class. So basically, this is a steal from Lehigh webinar. So thank you for at least I think that honestly, I think the pathway to elevate it is there because this is not new. I mean, you go back to Robert Putnam's Bowling Alone. I mean, we've been talking about loneliness and the impact on student success. I work at a large public land grant institution that, our state funding, our state has been good to us compared to some of my peers in terms of the percentage we get, but we have not kept up with mandatory costs. So every year I have a budget reduction that comes. And so we are becoming increasingly tuition dependent. And it doesn't feel good to say it all the time, but the reality is student retention is an indicator in the budget conversation. And so the reality is when we do our jobs well, we help recruit students to campus and we help retain students on campus. When we do those two things and you are a more tuition dependent institution, that is an easy story to tell. And so I think that the reality of it is when we can frame the conversation, we can share the studies, we can share all of we know that well-being, I'll use mental health and wellness is a topic, not just on college campuses. This is true across our communities. Here in Nebraska, we have a shortage of mental health professionals, not just on our college campus, within Lincoln, within the state. It's not new. Our chancellor knows that. My vice chancellor knows that. We're aware of it. How do you solve it is a challenge, particularly when we are, our services are primarily funded by student fees. And so I have this loop of I charge students more and create more financial stressors in the financial dimension of well-being in order to provide them more resources. So that conversation is there and we're trying to figure it out, but elevating it to the senior leadership, honestly, the most successful path I've found is how does it tie to recruitment and retention? How does it help us bring more students to campus? And as a land grant institution, how does it help make us more accessible to the citizens of Nebraska? And when we do that, we're fulfilling our mission. And then once they're here, we want them to graduate. And it's relatively easy to tell that story when you have the pathway to be able to do it.
I'm going to shift